motion to accept the minutes as circulated?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Is the county executive on?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. But
Of course.
before I introduce you, Mr. Lafferty would like to say a few words.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Mr. County Executive. First, let me welcome back the Planning Board. All the members, we're welcoming you into a very busy and hectic 2022. I want to thank those who have been able to join us so far for a couple of our Stage 2 public meetings. Really appreciate your participation in those meetings and lending your thoughts then as we move forward with the Planning Board. And now we're into the next major initiative for the year, which is the Capital Improvement Program. And we're truly honored tonight to have the County Executive join us to present his Capital Improvement Program for the upcoming year. This is a once-in-a-year opportunity for the Planning Board members to hear from the County Executive, which makes it even more special because he is going to lay out some of his thoughts, ideas, and vision for the future. And then we'll be hearing from the various agencies, and you'll have an opportunity to hear more detail. But welcome to the Planning Board members and Mr. County Executive. Truly, it's an honor to have you with us tonight. So thank you very much for being here.
And on behalf of myself and the rest of the board members, I second what Steve just said. We know you've been leading a ship through a lot of very, very turbulent seas. So we're grateful for your leadership and your support. And now I'm going to turn it over to the county executive as he outlines his priorities for the FY 2023-2028 capital budget and program.
Thanks, Chair Hafford. Thank you so much, Nancy. And I want to thank all of the members of the Baltimore County Planning Board for your service to the residents of our wonderful county. Director Lafferty, thanks to you and your department for the partnership with our board here. And I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak before you about the fiscal 23 capital budget, as well as the related fiscal 24 to 28 CIP. You know, when I came before you all last year, our county was in the midst of tackling the impacts of COVID-19 and continuing to do all that we could to meet the needs of our residents. At that time, our vaccination efforts had recently begun, and we were providing our residents with better protection against this deadly virus, including our mass vaccination site at the Maryland State Fairgrounds, which is hailed as the best in the state by Governor Hogan. Now, thanks to our incredible team, the county has achieved a very impressive vaccination rate of nearly 80%, with more than 600,000 individuals vaccinated. Thanks to our efforts then, we were headed to a safer, brighter future. But now we're meeting virtually, and fueled by unvaccinated residents largely, we are now in the thick of the pandemic once again, with Omicron not only spreading rapidly, but quickly overwhelming our hospital and healthcare systems. Just for context, about 80% of all hospitalizations and even deaths, even more deaths, are coming from about the 20% or so of our population that remains unvaccinated. You know, in the early days of the pandemic, we never envisioned we'd still be contending with the greatest health challenge of our lives. But here we are 2 years later, and here we are. The battle continues. As we have continued throughout the fight, we in Baltimore County will continue to adjust and pivot to serve county residents and businesses alike. Leveraging outside resources like the CARES Act and the American Rescue Plan funding, we have been able to stand up those vaccination and testing facilities. We provided more than 20 million meals to our residents. We've prevented thousands of people from being evicted from their homes. We've worked to close the digital divide, and we provided over 1,000 direct grants to support businesses in this difficult time. Even as we've tackled the challenges presented by the pandemic, our everyday work has also continued, and we keep aspiring and moving towards the implementation of the goals included in our county's strategic plan. And truly, with your support and your partnership, we have achieved so much in these past 3 years. I'm proud to be leading a government that is more open, accessible, and accountable than ever before. I'm proud that together our first budget comprehensively closed an $81 million structural deficit with bipartisan support, funding education at a record level. We publish our budget now online in our open checkbook app, allowing residents to view expenditures down to the individual check, providing an unprecedented level of transparency. Last week, we announced that we'll be holding our 4th annual Signature Town Hall series, which has engaged thousands of residents across Baltimore County. Values like equity and inclusion are being embedded in our culture as guiding principles in Baltimore County. We banned housing discrimination by source of income. We've passed bipartisan police reforms that improve accountability and promote more equitable policing. And we're making bold, transformative investments in our communities. The new Towson Circulator began operations in October of 21, providing free local transit for residents, students, and visitors in the Towson area. We listened to and expanded our senior response with $4.6 million for an expansion of the Woodlawn Senior Center and $3 million to start the process of a new North County Senior Center in last year's budget. Addressing the need for more vibrant communities and quality of life issues, we've programmed more than $75 million in the fiscal 22 budget to enhance and expand recreational opportunities for all county residents. That included $14.5 million to fully fund the $16.5 million Sparrows Point Park, over $6 million of enhancement for Oregon Ridge Park, and funding for significant renovations at Rockdale, Linover, Fleming, and Diamond Ridge family parks. On the sustainability fronts, I'm proud to have issued an executive order requiring all new county transportation vehicles to be hybrid or electric. In November, we launched Operation Retree. It's an equity-based planning initiative which fundamentally shifted our approach to reforestation by adding a targeted focus on expanding tree canopies in our older, high-density, low-income neighborhoods. I'm proud of all the work we've done, and I look forward to the work ahead with you. And we're committed to that continued improvement through the capital formulation process. Next week, we begin another year of that town hall series I mentioned. And I just want to say they have been so popular and immensely successful in providing critical feedback from communities and residents and guiding our capital work, just as you all do in your efforts here with those public input sessions. Last year, more departments appeared before all of you to discuss their capital needs and identify planned projects for the future, rather than simply focusing on historical spending. Additionally, our departments explained how projects will promote sustainability and resilience. These are new and important goals for our capital investments. And this year, as we continue to refine our process in the upcoming fiscal year, we're also asking departments to provide how their plans and projects are viewed through the equity lens. As the experienced members of this board are well aware, this is an on-year cycle of the biennial capital budget process. So the process begins tonight, ends with council approval in May, to determine the referendum amounts to be submitted for voter approval in November. We plan to have nearly $335 million in bond referenda before the voters this year. And no surprise to any of you, my top priority continues to be education. Included in this referendum is $200 million more for school construction. For perspective, in our first 3 years, we've already provided record funding for public education and over $440 million in shovel-ready school construction projects. And we do that because every educator, student, and every community across Baltimore County deserves safe, secure, and supportive schools. And that's why we also joined with the county school system to initiate that collaborative process to assess school construction needs and develop a long-range 15-year plan to address them. We were proud to have engaged Canon Design, a national expert in education capital planning, for our multi-year improvement plan for all schools, or MyIPass. MyIPass, as you are well aware, is a capital program that maximizes state funding and identifies our priorities based on enrollment, capacity, educational adequacy, and facility condition. In July, Canon presented those recommendations, which would create a timeline to ensure every school in Baltimore County receives equitable capital improvements within 15 years. It is a scaling of it's a scaling of $2.5 billion over 15 years to include the existing Built to Learn funding. And with local funding, state funding through Built to Learn, and state funding through their CIP, we will be able to complete all of our schools for the future projects. The plan also provides $100 million towards community schools, $150 million for CTE, $125 million towards science, technology, engineering, art, and math, STEAM education. It provides $150 million to address the needs of special and alternative schools, and $40 million to address the challenges of open classroom schools. Importantly, my IPASS includes $1.5 billion to address facility condition and overcrowding across the county by providing necessary renovations, enhancements, and additions. These solutions will bring our school capacity to 100%, eliminating the need for makeshift learning spaces and trailers. That's a pretty impressive accomplishment when we get that done. And all of this, again, will be done with existing funding mechanisms under the plan. Now, you may have also heard, I believe this is a solid foundation. It is a plan through which we should be rooted and do all of our work. But I also believe it must go even further to improve our schools. Just yesterday, Governor Hogan announced he will be making additional funding available for school construction, and I am thankful for any and all additional funds we will be receiving. We look forward to learning more about the details of this funding, and I am optimistic that that funding will help us make even stronger investments in all of our school communities across Baltimore County. Moreover, in addition to any new funding we receive this year, I'll be advocating for a sustained increase in that state investment of school facilities in the years ahead. That's why my focus in this session in Annapolis remains on securing additional school funding for our schools. With that increased investment, in addition to all of the great things built into my IPASS, we will elevate the level of capital solutions in communities across Baltimore County, expand pre-K, improve security, and modernize all learning classroom environments. This is I'm sorry, I lost my space. My IPASS data-driven recommendations will help guide our work with the Board of Ed, BCPS, and our communities to ensure that high-quality schools are in every zip code and fulfills our county's obligation to the blueprint for Maryland's future, our educators, and most of all, our children. I believe you all have a robust schedule of capital budget hearings with county department heads and leadership from BCPS and CCBC. I look forward to hearing your recommendations for the fiscal 23 capital budget, as well as the fiscal 24 to 28 CIP. I again want to thank the members of the board for volunteering your time, for your energy, for your passion. Your work here helps chart the future of Baltimore County. So on behalf of our county residents, I am grateful for your willingness to serve. And I thank you for the opportunity to address you this afternoon. I truly appreciate your commitment to the people of Baltimore County. With that, Madam Chair, I will turn the floor back over to you.
Thank you so very much. And we, as you, have such a passion for Baltimore County, and we all feel very, very grateful to the opportunity to serve. Do any of my fellow board members have any questions or comments for the county executive? Howard, you always have comments. Something must have happened to Howard. Well, if not.
Nancy, I would say, John, I just want to thank you for all your efforts through this COVID period and your dedication to working through this with the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Todd. It means a lot. I will tell you, as I talk to peers across the country, they've been very impressed and have asked us about some lessons learned, and folks have tried to replicate some of the work that we've done here. And I really can't claim the credit. I just have been, the one thing I did right was we hired a good team, and the folks who do the work here in Baltimore County have been amazing. So very proud of them and grateful for them.
Well, one thing that I do know is that in our community, we have not lost one business in the core, and it's because everybody pulled together and we worked together. And I think that's one thing that separates Baltimore County from a lot of other places. The government, the residents, and the businesses all work together for the good of the all. So thank you so very much for your time, and we're looking forward to a very good year with everything open and the whole Baltimore County rocking and rolling.
Your lips to God's ears, Madam Chair. Thank you all so much. Appreciate the opportunity.
Have a good evening.
Thanks.
Okay, next on our agenda, I want to propose an annual revision of the basic service maps. Miss Erin McKenna Strail, is that right? And the staff from the Department of Public Works are with us this evening to present to the board. Please welcome Mrs. McKenna Strail.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Erin McKenna Straley. You're so close, Nancy. I'm an engineer.
Yes, so far.
I'm an engineer with the Water Design section of the Department of Public Works, and I'm here to introduce the draft basic services maps for the public water and sewer systems and transportation. Up on the screen right now is the water map, and there's the 3 maps, and Crystal can scroll through them as I'm speaking, since this is just the introduction. I'm joined by my fellow engineers and colleagues, Dave Baer in the sewer design section, Chris Niebre in the traffic engineering section, and our bureau chief, Lisa Eicholtz. The basic services maps are part of the countywide master plan standards and guidelines relative to new development. These maps are updated annually per the county zoning regulations and include areas that are deficient in public water, sewer, and transportation. There's no deficiencies in the public water system as defined by the zoning regulations. There's 1 deficient area in the sewer system and some areas of concern, and 13 deficient areas in the transportation system. And we'll go into more detail in the public hearing, which we're going to request so that we can give you some more information. And with that, me and my colleagues are happy to answer any questions you might have initially prior to the public hearing.
Are there any questions from the board?
This is Kathy from District 4. Where are the areas of concern? What part of the counties are they in?
So it's pretty,
There's
For which map?
It's like a thumbnail that I can see on my computer screen. So it's very difficult to see what's happening on the west side.
so this is the water supply map. So there's no deficient areas in the water supply system. There is 1 on the sewer map. If Crystal, are you in control of this screen? If you wouldn't mind zooming in.
Actually, Marcia is. She should be ready to zoom in.
Marcia. Oh, okay. Thanks, Marcia. On the transportation, it's pretty spread out. And then sewer, there's just 1 deficient area by Richland Manor.
Okay.
Yeah, the map is a huge file, but it is a pretty, I guess, like a smart PDF. You can zoom in and get the information.
Is this on the website?
So this
Available
will
on the
be
website?
posted to our website tomorrow. We present it first at the introduction before we release it to the public, and then it'll be online tomorrow on the DPW's website.
Great. Thank you.
You should have received that already too, Kathy. If you didn't, we can send it to you tomorrow.
Okay. I see the basic services introduction, but I'll have to scroll down more. It's probably.
Yeah, I'll send it over to you now.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Straley. Are there, if there's no further questions, we'll move on. And can the minutes reflect that Ms. German and Ms. Wolfson joined the meeting after roll call? All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll adjourn this meeting.
And Mr. Heinel joined after roll call.
Okay, Mr. Heinel joined too. All right, thank you. So is everyone
And
in
Mr.
favor?
Johnson.
Pardon?
And Mr. Johnson, that's signed. I came in on after the meeting started.
Okay, thank you so much.
Oh, and Nancy, we wanted to request a public hearing on February 4th, if that's okay.
Absolutely. That's not in my minutes. Is that something we're adding?
It should be in your annotated that we have
Oh,
asked for a public hearing, and then the LPC and county council legislation after.
oh, I see that. Okay, sorry. Mrs. Bensley, is that the report we're going into now, the landmark preservation?
We should probably request, have a motion on the meeting to set a public hearing on
Yeah,
February
that's
4th.
next.
If we do that next, Madam Chair.
I'm looking at my notes that I have after Miss Striley spoke, and then there's no, I don't have any motion on this one. So tell me what it is so I can read it. A meeting, what are we calling the meeting for?
We are just asking for a motion to set the public hearing for the basic water and sewer maps.
Okay, then that's what we're gonna do. Can I have a motion to do that?
I make the motion.
Second.
All right, thank you. All right, are we going on to other business right now?
Need to vote on the motion, Madam Chair.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And I'm sorry for that confusion, but I do say it says if there's no further question, I call for a motion to set a public hearing, but it doesn't say anything about a date or anything. All right, now Mrs. Bensley will fill us in on the report from the January 13th, 2022 meeting of the Landmark Preservation Commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair. At their January 13th, 2022 meeting, the Landmarks Preservation Commission voted to issue 6 certificates of appropriateness for the following properties. Chatsworth, the Ross property located at 21 West Chatsworth Avenue in Reisterstown. The Collins property located at 720 Howard Road in Sudbrook Park. The Prue property located at 1505 Frankie Avenue in Lutherville. The Earshaw property located at 11912 Jericho Road in Kingsville. The Clements property located at 122 Central Avenue in Glendon, and the Tarleton property located at 4805 Butler Road in Glendon. That concludes the report.
Thank you, Ms. Bensley. Ms. Tracy will now fill us in on legislation recently passed by the County Council following our last meeting. Ms.
Thank you, Madam
Tracy.
Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Since our last meeting, recent county legislation of interest to the board. Bill 95-21 zoning regulations winery use in the BL zone for the purpose of permitting a winery use in certain areas of the BL zone with certain conditions, including location, licenses required, and restrictions as noted in the bill. Next, Bill 103-21, revision of councilmanic districts for the purpose of revising and reconstituting the councilmanic districts of Baltimore County in accordance with the latest census figures published as a result of the U.S. Census of 2020, as required by Section 207 of the Baltimore County Charter. Next is Resolution 13721, Davis Farms Development Plan, whether to overrule Planning Board Master Plan decision. A resolution to determine whether to overrule the Baltimore County Planning Board in regard to the Planning Board's decision in the TriStar Development Davis Farms development case, in which the Planning Board found that the proposed development was not in conflict with the Baltimore County Master Plan. On November 1st, 2021, the County Council voted to overrule the decision of the Planning Board. The decision of the Planning Board is therefore not binding on the administrative law judge. Next is Resolution 138-21, adoption of the Pikesville Revitalization Action Plan, Master Plan 2020. A resolution to adopt the Pikesville Revitalization Action Plan as part of the Baltimore County Master Plan 2020. That ends the report.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tracy. Now, this is the
Can we,
conclusion.
Nancy, excuse me, can we just make a correction on the public hearing is actually February 3rd? I know a few people
Absolutely.
mentioned February 4th, but February 3rd is Thursday, so as written in
Okay.
the action summary, it'll be February 3rd.
Thanks, Crystal.
Motion.
All in favor? All right, thank you, folks. Thank you, Ms. Tracy. And this is the conclusion of our agenda for this evening. At this time, we will adjourn our public meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, please Please note that the board will hold a virtual CIP meeting to hear the agency's presentations via a separate WebEx. So it's a separate WebEx, not the same one that we're on right now. The WebEx link to the CIP meeting was provided to the planning board members. The public can access the link on the Baltimore County Planning Board website. Thank you all and have a good evening. See you soon.